What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to another FM19 video. Today I want to introduce you guys to Project Aswijan. This was created by Laura, aka What the Fork Gaming. You can find a link to download this, all the graphics that are involved, and also of course a link to Laura's social media channels and such down below in the description. And yeah, today I want to do a bit of a community spotlight on this piece of community content. This is by no means the last kind of one of these type of videos I'd like to do. I'd like to do more where I kind of shine a spotlight on some of the big community projects that happen in FM. You know, people doing stuff like fantasy databases, kit packs, logo packs with, you know, custom logos. There's some really cool stuff out there that deserves to have more eyes on it. But I've had an eye on this for a while. It's been in the works for 8 months, but finally, after over, well, hundreds of hours of work by Laura, and I think a few other people helping behind the scenes with graphics and such, it's getting its first public release, which it isn't quite out at the time of me talking, but it will be out when you see this. But yes, Project Aswijan. I don't want to talk too much about the lore and such, because I believe that Laura wants to do a video of her own about that, which I'll try and link down below. But basically, Aswijan is a fantasy nation based off the west coast of Portugal, kind of in that area of the Atlantic Ocean. And it consists of 64 teams who play across 3 divisions. There are also 4 cup competitions domestically within this nation. So you can see here we have the Regale, or the Regale. I'll let you decide how to pronounce it. It's a fictional nation. I can pronounce everything however I want. It's beautiful. We then have Liga Principal, Parlay, Principal, I'll let you decide. And then we have Liga Duke as well on top of that, the 3rd tier. So yes, you can see here, each and every team has custom graphics. If I just click on one for an example, we'll go with Alfari here, who have a very modern looking badge, to be fair. You can see there are custom kits for the teams. There is an in-game screenshot of what their stadium looks like in-game, which is really, really cool. It's a really neat way of doing this. But what really strikes me about this overall project is just the pure ambition of it. The idea of creating a nation from scratch that does play in the Euros, it does play in the World Cup. They are considered obviously part of Europe. I believe they entered the national competitions a couple of years later, just because of the way Football Manager handles, you know, nations being added to continental competitions and national competitions. But all in all, this is just incredible. I'm not quite sure where to start here. I guess I should talk a bit more about the actual kind of work that's gone into this itself, because it is crazy. As I said, there are 64 teams, and they all have their custom badges. They have their custom kits. Obviously, all the players are fake. They're created. Obviously, there isn't a country called Aswijan, in case you didn't know. But each and every player, especially the big players, has been kind of created, and some of them have these custom faces which were created by Laura herself. They are part of the pack. Obviously, they are just kind of computer-generated faces, but they are just really cool looking, and it's a really neat way of doing things, if you ask me. They look just awesome. It'd be amazing if one day regen faces could look like this. Obviously, they never will. I feel like one thing people don't realise with regen faces is you've got to understand the game is creating thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of regens across a single save game. That actually takes quite a lot of computing power just to generate the faces of regens. You think about a regen day in the United Kingdom, 15 regens per club that's playable. That's like thousands of faces that even a potato PC at the low end of specs has to develop, and obviously these kind of renders here just aren't realistic. But maybe in the future, maybe in 20 years time, we'll have regens that look like this. But yeah, it's just absolutely awesome. There are over 3,580 different players and staffs added kind of to this. You can see of different genders. We've got female managers, which of course there are a few in game itself in FM as it stands. But yeah, you've got players like Elena Rikaya. I guess that's right. I mean, I can make up pronunciations, can't I? That's the great thing about a fictional nation. If I was to ever do a save game here, I can kind of just go nuts and say stuff how I want, and no one can tell me I'm wrong, except maybe the creators. But let's not go into that. In terms of kind of what I like about this, I just think it's very ambitious. If you want to try something drastically different, it's cool. The effort that's gone into this, you can really tell that the effort's gone into this. You know, obviously 3,850 players, as I mentioned. Each club, I think, has 25 players on it. The database itself, I mean, I think I can show you this here. The database itself has over, well, you can see here, just a mental amount of changes. You can see the Aswijan database has 66,288. I mean, that is just mental to think about. That many hours has just gone into changing individual stuff, and there's a whole lore about this as well. So I don't want to go too deep into it because I'm not an expert by any means, but the general gist is Aswijan is a relatively wealthy nation. The royal family heavily kind of back the football within the country, hence the fact there are so many different clubs in the country that are all playing at a professional level, and there's a few different clubs who are kind of set up to be specific challenges. So Aswijan Malachi here, they are kind of the royal club, hence the crown on their logo. They're not really the people's team by any mean, you know, they're bankrolled by a sugar daddy. You can see they're valued at £1.49 billion. They are one of the big dogs in this nation, but you can see they're not the number one dog, because if we just take a look at the stages here, or rather the season preview, you can see Aswijan City, the other team that we looked at, their prediction is first, and these guys, they're the people club. You know, you have the royals against the people. It's kind of the poor against the rich. And, well, this team not quite valued at the same amount, but they probably have the better team. You can see if we just look at the history for the nation, all of this stuff has been done. So in terms of past winners, you can see here the Royals have won it year after year after year, and City have kind of come runners-up. They've kind of broken it once or twice. You can see we've got players like, or rather nations like Hadria, who have emerged up through the ranks, who play in the Europa League first season, alongside City and Malachi. I believe it's Marador FC. Yeah, you can see here they play in the Champions League first season. The way the coefficients are set up within Aswijan, you are going to have 3 clubs play in the Champions League. To begin with, obviously, you can earn a few extra spots there. In terms of the nation's kind of status, it's probably closest to Portugal in terms of a real country and a real nation within Football Manager. In terms of obviously with Portugal, you produce some absolutely tremendous talent, and there's some really, really talented players in there, but it's always a struggle to keep hold of them. If you've ever managed in Portugal, I'm sure you've felt this in FM, and of course, if you've ever managed abroad, you've probably gone to Portugal and picked up a few good players here and there. You know, Aswijan kind of in a similar situation there. There's a few teams who are very, very rich, but ultimately, you know, every player has its price, and you're not going to be able to at least immediately fight out the likes of the Premier League clubs, some of the big dogs in Spain and Germany and such. That, you know, when they come in for your players, it's going to be a struggle to keep hold of them. So yeah, you've got Malachi and City, who are kind of the 2 big dogs. Besides them, Wabani are a team full of very talented young players. They have here, you can see Badario Mills, who's kind of their star player. Not a great player necessarily. You can see their media prediction is 10th, but I believe that this is the team that has kind of the best young prospects. You can see they've got a load of different players here, all who, to be honest, look pretty blooming good. One thing that's worth noting, I guess, is the fact that with this custom database, all the players who have been created have 0 in every single technical, mental and physical attribute. This means that save on save, they will have completely different stats, which I kind of like, you know, the fact that their attributes are different each and every time. They'll obviously play the same positions, they'll have the same potential and current ability. Or rather, they might not have the same potential, I guess, if it's dynamic, if it's a minus number. If I'm talking like this is a foreign language, don't worry about it. I might do a video in the future about the behind-the-scenes things to do with potential and current ability in FM, because not everyone knows about it. But what you need to know is basically players' attributes, save on save, will vary quite significantly. Kind of adds to the replayability, makes it a little bit different each and every time, which I kind of don't mind at all. And yeah, well, Wabani here, they're kind of the team for, if you like your younger players, check them out. I will say, with this database and with this whole kind of graphics pack, it's about ½ a gigabyte, the download, which I know isn't the smallest for everyone. For me, it's not too big a deal at all. I would encourage you, if you have the space to download this and you have the bandwidth on your internet, to download it and check it out, just to appreciate the level of effort that's gone into this. Obviously, I've been in the Football Manager community for a long time. There are very few custom databases, kind of fantasy databases, that I've seen have this much effort put into them, and this much quality effort as well. Like the overall quality of this, you know, you look through all these different teams, you'd think maybe when you get to the lower league, some of the badges don't start to look so good. But actually, some of my favourite ones are down here. You've got Haswara Knights. I mean, they have a really, really cool logo. Founded in, well, it says 2012 here, but their founded date is 1905. I'll let you answer that one on a postcard and leave it in the comments for those of you watching. They've got Akat here as well. Pretty cool logo with literally a cat. And then even when you go down into the 3rd division, there's a few of my favourite ones here actually. Kasra with the rocket ship. I love the colours of this badge, and also the kits as well. They're just phenomenal that go with each and every single one of these. And well, Hesev, I talked about some of the teams in the top division who are, you know, the big teams. This team, Hesev, they are the worst of the worst. They play in the bottom division. They're predicted to finish 24th. They're in debt. If you want a challenge, this is the save game for you. If you're looking for something to go from the bottom to the top, I mean, I challenge you to take on these guys. They've got a pretty cool Viking-looking badge. Let's be honest, that's a pretty sick-looking badge. And, well, I challenge you to get to the top division with them and win the Champions League with them. If you can do that, I'll give you a cookie. There you go. That's the challenge that I've set out in front of you. In terms of this database, if I was going to manage it in it, I think my overall favourite team in terms of colour scheme and badge has to be Chauka Warriors. I love the kind of name, the badge with like the tomahawks, a bit of a Native American theme going on. It's really cool with some of the colours that are overall used. And I really like the kits as well. And I think if I was going to manage a team, it might be these guys, which does bring me on to one little thing. Obviously, we have the LAN series going on at the moment. For a little while, I've been thinking about doing a almost 100% live series, you know, in terms of I would just record each and everything I do. There wouldn't necessarily be a match every episode. Sometimes there'd be a few. It'd probably be quite longer, rambly videos, almost like short streams, I guess, as much as anything. But it's something that I'm weighing up doing with this database as something that's a bit different to the LAN series. Probably less frequent as well. But I would be interested to know if you guys would be interested in that. I think we do it with Chauka just because I like their badge as much as anything. But it might give me a chance to answer some questions that you guys have. Talk about some of the tactical decisions and just overall goings on I do as a manager when I'm not obviously recording as I would be normally. With the LAN series where you kind of see things every few months. You'd probably get to see some of the dirty business. Some of the stuff that I don't necessarily think is the most interesting in shorter videos, but for those of you who like long form videos, you'd probably absolutely love it. If that's something you'd like to see, please do let me know down in the comments. Anyway guys, I've talked for long enough about this. As I said, there will be a link to download this down below. I challenge you to go and win the World Cup with Aswijan. That's your challenge. They're 7th in the world to begin with. It's definitely doable. As I said, this is hopefully the first of a few different community spotlight videos that we'll be doing. I need to just give a massive applause to every single person who has been involved in creating this project. It is absolutely crazy. This is only V1. I think there are plans to add more teams in the future potentially. And yeah, I encourage you to go down in the description, download this. I think there's a Discord server specifically for this project, so if you want to find out more, I will link that down below. You can probably find out more about, you know, the behind the scenes, how this was all set up, how it was done, all that good stuff. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. If you have enjoyed this video, leave a like on it. If you'd like to see me maybe do a, as I said, a 100% live series here in Aswijan, let me know down in the comments. And other than that, that's going to be all from me, guys. Thank you for watching. It is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.